Thanks for coming. I'm not just saying this, but I really think this is an important study. Now, Restore Louisiana Now was created to fight for the survival of the coast and, of course, New Orleans. But survival is not enough. We want the region to thrive. And for years, as some of you know, I've been talking about this issue, about the fact that coastal restoration can create an enormous number of jobs, that it can create new science, that what we have in Louisiana is an opportunity to create here in Louisiana a Silicon Valley of great jobs that deal with handling water. Boone Pickens has said that water is the oil of the 21st century. I think that he's right. So what Restore Louisiana Now decided to do, since no one has ever quantified the actual job creation that would ensue from funding the master plan and actually restoring the coast, we decided to commission one of the most respected economists in the state, Dr. Tim Ryan, who had been 30 years in the field, probably more than that, Dean of the College of Business at UNO, Chancellor, University of New Orleans, highly respected, and to do the study of just what would happen if we actually funded the master plan. And that, I'll leave it to Dr. Ryan.
Thank you, John. Good morning. As a professional economist who has been working in Louisiana for almost 40 years, I have become increasingly concerned about the economic sustainability of Southeast Louisiana in the face of a major storm. The loss of our coastal protection zone has made the area much more vulnerable to hurricanes and tidal surge. We have already seen what devastation a major storm like Katrina can do to our economy in the New Orleans area. Even after billions of dollars of rebuilding, the permanent loss of 154,000 people in the area, 72,500 jobs, and over $1.8 billion of gross metro product. And it's clear that the people of Louisiana agree with me. Poll after poll shows that one of the issues people in Louisiana care about most is land loss and how it affects their families, their homes, and their pocketbooks. The Louisiana Coastal Master Plan was approved overwhelmingly by the state legislature in 2012. It calls for $50 billion to $100 billion worth of restoration projects. It is not clear where that funding will come from, but it is clear how important that the master plan be funded. The land loss is bad and getting worse. This ongoing land loss affects people right now. They are paying more in flood and homeowners and business insurance. Many homes are worth less. Some homes have to be rebuilt, and in fact, some homes and entire communities are in danger of being lost altogether. That's not even considering what will happen next time we get a major hurricane. So coastal restoration projects are necessary to save us from disaster. But there's another side to coastal restoration, which is that it can not only preserve our state, but help it thrive by creating thousands of jobs, actually hundreds of thousands of jobs, billions of dollars of new business for the state, and hundreds of millions of dollars of new tax revenue for state and local governments. And that's what we're here to talk about today. The master plan calls for an investment of a minimum of $50 billion on coastal restoration and hurricane protection over the next 50 years. This level of expenditure slows but does not stop or reverse land loss. The master plan recommends $100 billion as the optimal level, which will yield a net gain of land. There are four areas of potential economic impacts of the spending of $50 to $100 billion on coastal restoration and hurricane protection. The study addresses these four components. One, the hard construction activities that will result from the spending. This would involve the actual levee building projects, sediment diversion projects, land moving, and so forth, land creation. The impact that the new funds would have on developing a new industry in the state. That new industry would focus on coastal science and could be on the forefront of science and engineering studies of coastal restoration and redevelopment, not only in Louisiana, but throughout the world. The Dutch have a monopoly on this business, or almost a monopoly. They have, in 2010, Dutch businesses exported, that means they sold to other countries, $9 billion worth of science and engineering studies. With the kickstart that the 50 or to $100 billion of coastal restoration could have to this industry, we believe we can develop not an industry on the par with the Dutch, but certainly an industry that can carve off a share. This is going to be especially, I think, I wouldn't say easy, but there's an opportunity for this because of sea level rise. The nature of this work is increasing in demand all over the world. The third component, the master plan predicts a substantial increase in the storm damage that Louisiana can expect over the next 50 years if nothing is done. If investments in coastal restoration and hurricane protection outlined in the master plan are made, we can expect a reduction in storm damages in the future. These savings will first manifest themselves in lower insurance costs for residents and business, both national flood insurance and private homeowners and business insurance. Lower insurance costs will impact existing businesses in the area and will attract new businesses to the area that will have greater confidence that hurricanes will not cripple their business as Katrina did. The fourth component, a fraction of the damages that result from storms are not sure. Matter of fact, it's over half. Using Katrina as a guide, over 50% of the damages caused by Katrina were not covered by insurance and borne by local residents and local businesses. The economic savings that would result from reducing uninsured hurricane damage to the state of Louisiana would make up a part of the economic benefits of investing in the master plan. As in any economic impact study, this study measures 7 economic variables: new direct spending in the state's economy, new secondary spending, sometimes referred to as a ripple effect, as those dollars are spent and respent in the state's economy. New total spending, which is the sum of direct and secondary, new jobs for the state, employment, new earnings for local residents who would be created, and finally new tax revenues for local government and new tax revenues for state government. Further, the study looks at 2 different measures of the economic impact of each component: the average annual impact over the 50-year period of construction and the permanent impact once all construction activities are complete. The base figures used in this report for the level of coastal restoration and protection spending are the 2 levels identified in the master plan: $50 billion over 50 years and $100 billion over 50 years. In total, to summarize the final results of the study, the coastal restoration hurricane protection projects envisioned in the study create annual new direct spending of $6.72 billion. This is annual now, $6.72 billion, $5.63 billion of secondary spending, for a total spending impact of $12.35 billion if $50 billion is invested. If $100 billion is invested, the projects create $13.25 billion annually of direct spending, $11 billion annually of secondary spending, for a total spending impact of $24.25 billion annually. After the 50-year period of construction is complete, the permanent increase in employment, the jobs impact, is 109,360 new jobs created in the state and $3.61 billion in annual earnings if $50 billion is invested, and 684,000 new jobs and $7.02 billion in new earnings if $100 billion is invested. And as a study as complicated and comprehensive as this one, it was useful to provide a frame of reference for comparison if available. The creation of 109,000 and 212,000 new jobs in Louisiana is clearly a significant economic engine. However, if one looks at the total in comparison to the damage that one storm, Katrina, did to the Louisiana economy, the 109,000 jobs is certainly reasonable. The master plan looked at several studies estimating job impact of coastal restoration. Excuse me. A recent study done by Restore America's Estuaries and quoted in the master plan found that restoring our coast could create more than 30 jobs for each $1 million invested. Extrapolating that figure to the proposed spending of the smaller of the two targets, the $50 billion level, and discounting by 70% to account for economies of scale, produces an estimate of the creation of 450,000 jobs in the Louisiana economy. A second study done by LSU and the Louisiana Workforce Commission concluded that the $618 million spent by the state of Louisiana in 2010 on coastal restoration created a total of 8,900 jobs to the state. Again, extrapolating that to the $50 billion and discounting by 70% produces a job impact of 212,000 jobs based on just the $50 billion spending level. So I think you can see, although these numbers seem rather large and significant, they are certainly conservative. A conservative approach was used in this study. I think if we find, and I think it's a must that we find the resources to redevelop our coast, these numbers will seem small in comparison when we look at it 50 years from now, or when some other economist looks at it 50 years from now. I don't expect him to be here then. I'll be glad to answer any questions that any of you may have.
Thanks. Walt, did you want to say anything?
But John Barry actually has the brains, the heart, and the balls to actually have done something about it. If we let this lawsuit go down, this may be our last opportunity. So I just want to let everyone know that this isn't about punishing anybody or anything other than getting the actual money it's going to take to save this city. It's not about anything else. That money, without it, there's no hope, I don't think. So let's get this lawsuit, let's let it go to court, and let's not let the legislators take it out. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.